right, so we are live somewhere. That's what we're about to find out. I do not see it on that page, which probably means it's on the the CLP page. I don't see it there either. That's very exciting. Now I just don't know what's happening at all. I may have to make this, there we go. Okay. I think that may have been YouTube lag. That, one thing that I need to do here is I need to set up split screen. Okay. Otherwise, it's just kind of weird because you'll be listening to me and I'll just be like your face. And I did that. I don't know if you saw the one I did with Jessica, but which was the first one. And I hadn't figured out the split screen thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that doesn't work. But anyway, we're here.
Is this your intro?
Yeah, it is. It's my intro. Uh, yeah, so we'll talk about this because we were started talking about this before the before we got recording. Um, let's do the talk
Okay.
show thing first. You have a new album. I feel like I need I need to like put it on screen. Do you have a physical
Yeah.
copy that you can show?
No, I don't have a
Yeah.
physical copy. No.
So that makes it hard. We could go to the website and people could look at it. But
Yes, you could, but
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So
LorenzosMusic.com for those that are listening.
right. So and that's available on your Bandcamp, like everywhere.
Yep, it's streaming everywhere. It's available on Bandcamp. We have our own Faircamp instance that it is available on. We have it available on Bandwagon. We have it available on Mirlo. We have it available on Jamendo if people still think that's a thing. And I don't know if it's on Free Music Archive. I think it might be. If not, I need to check that and put it up there. But yeah, it's basically most of the places that you look for music, that's where it's at.
Sweet. You also have a remix event,
Yes.
and the deadline for that is exactly 1 month from today, if I recall correctly. Is that right? June 12th, do you know off the top of your head?
I think so.
I think
I
that's
think it's a
right.
soft due date because, I
Don't
mean,
don't say that, Tom. Do not say it.
well, I'm still the one that has to master them. So
Yeah,
before
well,
I send them off.
fair enough. Okay. I
So they're
guess
not
I
going to
guess
get
you're
to them
allowed to
at
say
that point
that.
anyway.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure that Mike too. Well, I guess there is a real hard deadline, and that's net label day. So
Hold on. I want to interject 1 second here. You and I know each other. So when people go, are these guys arguing with each other?
yeah, okay. We're gonna get to this again.
Yes.
We're gonna get to
I
this.
just want to say that for the way that you and I are like going, no, don't say that. And it's like,
Fair.
you wouldn't
Well,
say that to a
so
guest.
fair enough. So what you're saying is 100% true, and I know that to be
Yeah.
true from other remix. So Tom is putting out this remix. Tom and his band, Lorenzo's
Yeah.
Music, is doing this remix thing with the net label that I am one of the owners of. And so I know that Mike, can push things out. So that I didn't want Tom putting this on Mike though. That's what I didn't want.
No, no,
But
no. This is
yeah,
so the deadline for us, yes. But I guess I was going into the technicality that it's like, well, then I still have to make sure
yeah,
that everything's
no,
mastered properly. Because sometimes we get the mixes mastered, and sometimes they just send us the mix, and then I have to master
yeah,
it. So it's one of those things. So yes, the deadline date to send it to us is that.
yeah.
So
But it is coming
yeah,
out on net label day, right?
it is coming out on Net Label Day. That is my
So
understanding,
that is a
correct? Which is
definite
July, what is it, 18th
14th,
this
14th. It's the
14th? Okay,
14th every year. So, and this
gotcha.
is something we can talk about or not, but I'll just say this briefly. Uh, the 14th being the day is problematic because it could fall on a Wednesday, and then like people are at work.
Hmm.
Um, and so like for you, you do a lot of your work on the weekends.
Hmm.
So and then different parts of the world have their weekend different days. So just having it on like a single day is problematic. Now, Mist before it was Omar, was totally cool with people like have it a week later. I don't care. And
Hmm.
Omar's the same way. But if you put a date out there, people are going to feel like they're missing out if you don't do it on the day.
Right.
So this year, me and Jason over at both sides of the surface, William, and basically all the people involved in Friends of CC Music, we decided we were going to do Net Label Week. And that way, we're just sort of giving people explicit permission to just kind of do it around that day. Do it on the
Hmm.
weekend. It doesn't have to be the 14th. All of Omar's, all the like releases are still going to come out on the 14th. Big stuff still happening, marked around the 14th. But now people don't have to feel like, oh, there's this one day and then I'm going to miss everything because it's all there. We're trying to relieve some anxiety. Um, but and also like I don't know, I think now I'm going to do something that Mike can be mad at me about. But I suspect, let's say this comes out on Net Label Day, and then like millions of people want to contribute. They're like, man, this was the greatest thing that humans have ever experienced, and I missed out. If people really want to do this, like Michael put out another one. Like if there's good
Hmm.
stuff that comes out late, like
I mean, the entire concept of net labels is that they're not a physical thing that exists.
right,
I mean,
exactly.
it's digital.
So it will so like as far as like the release coming out on net label day, like yeah, if you miss that, you miss that. That's a thing. But like you know if there's a lot of awesome stuff that comes out later, then um you know that's a big thing that we've always done. Well, Mike, before I was involved, has always done with the Black Sonic stuff. Is there's always these like extended editions. So
Hmm.
there's the opportunity for something like that. I mean, obviously you'd be involved in those conversations too. But I mean, you know, it's digital music, so
Yeah.
like you said.
Is there much outreach for it this year? Who are you expanding the net labels? Are you searching more
So,
people? Like what's going on with it?
so it's interesting because I think it was in March. Omar was because that's Omar and I did this. Hey, we're just gonna have a random conversation about. It's like the Seinfeld of podcasts. Like it's a show about nothing sort of thing.
Hmm.
Uh, the We did this in March, and around there, Omar and I were talking a lot, and he was saying, "Hey, I need some help getting these things out." But I'm having some problem with my WordPress. I don't have the post out yet. And I'm like, okay, send me the post when it's done. Well, we're like 2 months later and I don't have the post. So I'm not really sure where we're supposed to send people. I mean, Omar did ask for help. You
No, but I
collect
mean, like, are you actively looking for new net labels? Are you searching the web for net labels that are out there? That's what I'm
yeah,
asking.
yeah. But we don't have a place to send them. That's the thing is Omar's got to. So he said like I need to give you guys these instructions. We don't have the instructions.
Do you
So
have an email list?
as soon as we get that from Omar, then we'll start prodding people to submit
I'm
stuff.
just saying, can't you just even create an email sign up form? I mean, I know you've done Google Forms
I
before. I'm
mean,
just
yeah, but Omar's the one who does the releases, so it's got to go where Omar
uh,
wants it to go.
so. All right, let me think about it this way. So you're saying you can't reach out to people because there's nowhere to send them. But I
Right.
mean, how are you reaching out to people? Like, aren't you having a conversation with them when you reach out to them, or are you just making a page and hoping people
No, no, no.
find it?
I mean, we could have a conversation with them, but that conversation is going to be like, I don't have a place to send you.
Right, but you're talking with them. That's like going, "Hi, my name's Doug. I'd like you to join NetLabel Day. I'll be back later to show you where you can learn more about it." I mean, aren't you having
I
an open
get. I mean, I
conversation with
guess
them?
we could do that, but it just seems like we're disorganized if we don't even have a page that like how to
Understandable, but I
submit stuff.
mean,
How did these?
if
How did
people
we?
send me a if people send me a link, I got a thing today. Somebody going, "Hey, I really like what you're doing with the podcast. Go here to see mine." And I'm just like, "Why?" Like tell me more. You've got me and you're like, "Here, I'd like to introduce myself. Now go here to learn more about me." That's what I'm saying is you're saying you're sending them to a page. That's why I was saying if you had a sign up form, I mean, it's the same thing. That's what you're doing. You're going, "Hey, sign up to learn more. Hey, go here to learn more." Or I'm just saying, like when I want to get somebody on the show, I go, "Hey, I really like your stuff and I think this is really cool and I'm planning on having a
Well,
podcast. I'm not scheduling right now, but I'd like to have you on it. Here's what my podcast is." That's
yeah.
I mean, just create at least maybe a sort of break it down sort of thing to give them more info rather than just an email going, go here to learn more. I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no.
I'm just saying,
It's
like,
not about
waiting for a
learning
page to
more.
show up.
Yeah, it's not about learning more.
Well, then
It's
what
about
are you waiting for?
he's asking for the submissions, for the place for the people to send the MP3s. We do not have a place for people to send the MP3s or the waves or the FLACs, whatever the files. Like the releases, we don't have a place for them to go.
I mean, couldn't you just ask them, or when you're there going, hey, we'd like to
No,
submit this to you? Like,
Omar's the guy who does the releases. He does NetLabel Day. I have no control over that website.
okay. Um,
I mean, I could collect them and then hand them to
well, here's
Omar,
why
I
I ask
guess,
about
but
outreach. Here's why I ask about outreach too. So now when I was doing, say, the voting on, you were doing the CC
yeah,
Music Awards, which was awards for different categories in CC Music, and you go out and find different artists and things like that. Now, since I was doing the Midwest, I was like, you know what? I want to meet some of these people.
yeah,
I've listened to their music, and I went and interviewed them. Every single person I talked to had no idea that they were on this awards thing.
yeah.
Do you reach out to any of these artists when you elect them? Do you tell them that they
Yeah, I
won?
mean, people were so. Um, Dominic was the guy who was doing a lot of that kind of stuff, and he just kind of disappeared. But this doesn't have anything to do with the CCMA. I
No,
mean,
it does in a sense, because this is what I'm saying is, so you guys are doing all this work. You're doing this work creating Net Label Day, and I'm asking, like, how are you promoting it? How are people finding out
yeah,
more about it? And I'm saying, while you're doing all this work in the background, I feel like nobody knows about it. And
yeah.
I'm kind of
Well,
asking, like, what are you
I
guys
guess what
doing
I'm
to
saying is I'm not doing any work for NetLabel Day.
okay.
That's Omar's thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah,
So
no, I was unaware that
yeah.
you asked me, or you were asking about it or saying what you were doing, so I
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
just talking like,
So I presented it as we're doing this thing to expand in the people. So that's only one thing. The other thing is that Omar holds all the keys of the kingdom. And last year we kind of tried to like work with Omar to like build up the Net Label Day stuff, and
mhm,
like it just didn't work. Like we just couldn't get Omar just got too much going on, I think, and
yeah,
like we just couldn't coordinate anything. We're like, well, Net Label Day is sort of his thing, and we we can't really do anything with it. Like we literally have no access to anything.
yeah.
Um, so that was one of the reasons for doing Net Label Week. That way we're not like competing with Omar. I mean, like, Omar's a good dude, but like he's just busy and like it's hard to
So
coordinate. So
Net Label Week is a different thing?
yes.
Okay. I was unclear on that. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So I, how, well, maybe you might know this. A lot of people
Okay.
probably won't know this, but are you familiar with the Kubernetes ecosystem at all?
Sort of.
Okay.
I'm familiar with the name, but right now I'm blanking on what it is.
So what it is kind of irrelevant, but you know that there's this community that exists out here. So they have an official conference that's KubeCon.
Hmm.
Um, but they've gotten so many submissions over the years that a bunch of like people that liked KubeCon said, why don't we hold another conference at the well, actually the days before. They're not at the exact same time. And they call it Kubernetes rejects. So
Hmm.
all the like talks that didn't get, you know, accepted to be talks at KubeCon, those can be talks at Kubernetes rejects. So it's like there might be some talking, like they're friendly, but like two separate events. So that's basically what we're going with the Net Label Week is we got two separate events going on.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. No, I was
yeah,
not clear on that. I thought
yeah,
it was switching to that. Okay.
yeah. So, um, yeah, and this is the first year, so it's we'll see how it all goes. We're trying to stay out of Omar's way, and also like when we do get the stuff that he wants to do, we'll be ready to help.
Hmm.
But so we're trying to keep it pretty low key just to make sure we don't burn people out this year. And we are going to have on July 12th. I don't know why everything's the 12th. It's just turned out that way that everything's the 12th. So
Yeah.
July 12th turns out to be the Saturday before Net Label Day. And we're having a series of panels. So we have four podcasters that are going to be talking in like a
Who?
so Omar's going to be actually doing the moderating the panels. So again, friendly but separate. Um, and I was worried that it was going to be too close to Net Label Day with him having too much stuff, but he was like, "Nah, I can do it." So, um, but the on that panel, it's Rhino, Dave and Caroline from the Bugcast, and then it's not all podcasters. It's the curation panel. So the guys from Klong Klong Moo um, are on it, and then who's the fourth? I mean, strictly speaking, I've mentioned five people because there's two with Klong Klong Moo, but there is I've forgotten the first the fourth entity here. Let me look that up real quick, which I'll need to look this up anyway because we'll probably talk about the other ones and I definitely won't remember all those. Oh yeah, Pete Coggle is the other one. So um, he does a big like net label review podcast every year, so he's definitely a good guy to have on a net label week review. So yeah, the so that's the first one, and we kind of put that first because we got folks in Europe on that panel, and then we have the artist panel after that, and then CDOC is going to be on that, um, and then I have a feeling that Nicholas Burgess and Eddie Palmer are probably going to be on it, but they weren't sure yet about their schedules. So I'm kind of what I told maybe both of them, but definitely Eddie was. I was just gonna circle back with the artists because I was getting a lot of like, man, I don't know, from the artists. So I was like, you know what, I'm just not even gonna try until June 1st. So CDoc, who is an artist, but also he runs day-to-day operations for Chuck D's label Slam Jams. So he has like that side of things as well. Um, so he's the only one that's confirmed. We won't have problems finding four artists. So I'm not concerned about that.
Where is all this happening?
It will be happening probably right here on this very URL, meet.jit.c/cc music. So there has been talk of maybe moving to a different platform, but this is a URL that a lot of people already know, so we might just keep it simple and do that. That's the plan as of now. So
Okay.
unless something um, unless somebody comes up with like a really good alternative, this is where it'll
Are
be.
you guys doing the live radio stream again or the live music
Yeah,
stream again?
yeah. So that'll start. So that's one of the reasons why we were doing it on Saturday, um, because the stream for us starts on July 13th. So whenever the international date line in the Pacific, whenever that hits July 14th, that's when the stream starts. So that ends up being, I think, 5 a.m. for us in Central Time. So it's basically all day on the 13th for us. Then it goes through the 14th and then a bit into the 15th as well. So yeah, that stream will be, I think, in the same location. It'll be, and I don't know, I haven't talked to Omar about this, but we might we might stream the panels live if we can figure that out. Um, so the panelists will be here live, but we might stream the audio on there. But again, like we gotta get Omar for that. So um, yeah, uh, but yeah. So there's two other panels. The dev slash tech panel is confirmed. We got Ben Wagon, Funkwell, Jessica Harrison, and Mirlo are all going to be here for the dev slash technology panel. Um, and then we have a net labelist panel. So we're getting back to your question about reaching out. And we have reached out to a lot of different net labels about joining the net label panel. I haven't heard from Jason about that recently. Um, right now, I think that Block Sonic might be the only one confirmed, but um, yeah, we've definitely been reaching out to folks. On that. Trying to think if there's anybody else that like I've been, some of these people I've been thinking like they have multiple roles, like they're like Mike, he does some artist stuff and also is net label stuff. He also does dev stuff. So like I've been trying to kind of like put people in like a place where I think that sort of like makes the most sense. But I may have to start like thinking about some folks that I hadn't thought about, for the net label category to get that one filled out. So,
Okay.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so those are the ones, and it'll all be recorded. So if people aren't available on the 12th, then you know, can watch them later.
Are you still maintaining a list of all this stuff, of all the net labels that you find? Keeping a catalog or a library? Didn't you try to do that a few years back?
Well, there is the net label guide. So that
Yeah, but
there's
didn't you guys have problems with that last year because it hadn't been updated in like 7 years? Wasn't
uh
that one of the issues with it? Was that it was an old guide that you found that someone did, and then there was a precursor in it going, some of these are no longer in use,
well
but it
there
was just an old
there
label
is
guide?
there is an inactive list. So that may be something that I could talk to Mike. So Mike runs Net Label Guide. Um, I don't know when the last update to this bad boy was. So there was the old one that David Nemeth had, and
So
so
but I'm asking just in the sense where has that been maintained, or is it something that this year you're like, oh, and we still have this? Like,
yeah,
I guess I'm looking to see now you're creating these events, and I guess this is my question. Now, each year you guys prepare for this and think of what you're going to
yeah,
do. Now, while you're setting up for it, it seems like there's like with the discussion you just had, there was we think this is going to happen, or we're going to try this year. But I guess I get working up to it and doing this, but I guess my question is, and being with the list of the net labels and me asking like, what's the outreach been like?
yeah, yeah.
Um, wouldn't there be more incentive, like when they're submitting, to also go and we're creating a library of net labels categorized? Like, is there some sort of outcome that's expected of this, or is it really just like, hey, are you a net label? Do you want to show up? With like Comic-Con, where it's like it's just a group of people show up, and then you plan for next year. I guess
Yeah,
I'm asking if there's any intention of building more community existence after the event behind it.
yeah. So yes and no. So the panels them.
Yes and no.
Well, I
Those
mean,
are two completely opposite answers, Doug.
yes. So the panels themselves, can sort of be thought of as, you know, like their own little boxes, and the panels themselves are just, to be you know, a place for folks to talk about,
Hmm.
where we're at
Yeah,
and where we want to go.
I get that. Yeah.
But we do have at the end of the panels, we've set aside some time to think about. Um, so we've intentionally left the second weekend of Net Label Week and like everything after Net Label Day. Like we don't have anything planned throughout the week. So the idea is, other than these panels on Saturday and then the stream on Net Label Day. So the idea is that the things people, after these panels and the discussions, people will be interested in specific topics, and then that week we can think about what we want to do, and then we can think about it live. You
Right.
know,
And that's the event. That's what I'm saying, are you just focusing on that? And then after it's done, you just focus on let's do it again next year. That's
yeah.
what I'm asking.
I so me personally, I think that's probably where we're at right now.
Okay.
So we'll have to see what people. I mean, like again, so so let's we could kind of rewind to the very very beginning, and I said, hey, we'll come back to that. So we're talking about the genesis of Jibber Jabber Jambalaya.
Mhm.
So back in December and um, January a bit, I was doing these pilot shows where they were just completely like not at all related. Like one week, Sam and I did like a net label discussion. One week, I just did like a talk like me like talking head only me into the mic, just talking about the scene. One week, I did an interview of sorts, but they were all just sort of like very specific. Like, do we want to do like a thing going forward? And like maybe the answer is no. Maybe we don't think having like some sort of media on the Friends of CC Music site. Maybe we think that's not important. I don't know. But we've tried a couple of different things, and like, um, you know, right when we started, I mean, this was before Friends of CC Music existed, but sort of I guess, the genesis of that. But so we had a bunch of people that were getting together on Saturdays during a lot of the
Who
quarantine
was?
times. So Victor Van River was coming. Cheese
So
and
just people like you're,
yeah, it
I
was
didn't, it
it.
wasn't like, hey, we're having a meeting. You're just
No,
saying
it
me and
was
some friends were
literally.
getting
So it
together.
actually started with my job. So like, so this guy Ben, who I actually want to get him on one of these JJJs, uh, because Ben and I have an idea for a show, but Ben and I's schedule don't work at all. So it. I don't know if it's. I don't ever even know if the one is ever going to happen. But in any
Well,
case,
okay.
um, people were just like, "Oh man, all these shows are getting canceled." I was like, "Well, why don't we just get together and like talk?" And
Hmm.
then so we did that for a little while, and then it kind of turned into a CC Music thing because a lot of people from work just kind of weren't interested. And then we did that for like 3 years, and it was cool, but it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah. And so what's Friends of CC Music? So this is, I guess this goes back to kind of what I was asking, like, what is Net Label Day, trying to
Yeah,
do Net Label Week, trying to do. And in that conversation that you just had, you mentioned like three different things that you started. And you're like, but this fizzled out, or this was that, and Friends of CC Music. And then you were like, and we got together, and I'm like, who got together? And you're like, just me and some friends. So I guess I'm like, what organization is the one that's your focus? Because now we're
yeah.
doing this
So
show here, and
well,
I guess my curiosity is like, what is this? Where are
yeah.
we going with this?
God, I wish I knew. So here's my dream. Here's my dream that
Okay.
that things like the Net Label Guide, which Mike currently runs, which it's on GitHub, so I mean, like people can contribute, but and things like um, Net Label Day, things that are, I think, rightfully seen as community things. Um, that those things come together under one umbrella. That way, you know, it's more organized. Everything is like
Mm-hmm.
in the CC community. And it's like,
Yeah.
why don't we just like come together as a community and do this stuff together instead of like one person doing one thing and one person doing another thing. Um, and we're not there yet. Still a lot of people doing
And
different
also
things.
because that's difficult in the sense that that claims ownership when you're saying, why don't we just all come together and do this thing? I mean, you're technically doing something that's separate from creativecommons.org altogether as well. So, I mean, I guess I would be more succinct in what come together means.
Yeah,
While the net label list and net label day are definitely an event and also something where you can keep a list of like past contributors
yeah,
and a catalog that's up to date. Like that makes sense grouped together. Now there is something you're talking more along the lines of something that's like an, ooh, geez, there goes my microphone. Hold on. Something that goes more together, like you're saying, an alphabet to your Google. a meta to your Facebook. You're saying, I mean, I hate to use
Right.
those
Yeah. Yeah.
examples,
Yeah.
but it's most universal to use in the sense that there's an overlying company that sees whatever is underneath because they're technically together, but they're different entities. So you're
Yeah.
saying Net Label Day is this, but you're also saying, which I still haven't gotten an answer for, but Friends of CC Music is this, or is Friends of CC Music your alphabet company? I
Yeah.
guess that's
Yeah.
what I'm asking.
That's
Like, I
what it
get
is. Yeah.
confused
Yeah.
because I know, and
Well,
with,
so the answer is
yeah,
Princess CC Music is nothing right now.
okay,
It's
all
nothing.
right.
I mean that's what it is. So I tried, I guess, in January to get people to come to the table and say, what the hell do you want? What do you want this organization to be? Because everybody talks about how like, Jamindo's bad, Free Music Archive's bad, everything's going to shit. And it's like, well, let's do something about it, damn it. And then
Mm-hmm.
people are like, I don't know, I don't really want to do anything about it.
Well, it depends on the sense of what you're trying to do. I mean, you said you were talking to Mirlo. Mirlo's doing something about it. Bandwagon's doing
Yeah.
something about it. Faircamp is
Well,
definitely doing something about it.
but those things are
Or
not
not Bandcamp. I'm sorry, Faircamp.
those
I always
things
get
are
that
not
confused.
CC specific though.
No, but I mean, it's harder to find things CC specific these days. I mean, royalty free has actually ruined CC music in a sense.
Well,
Royalty free has saturated every Creative Commons music market. If you go search for any kind of music on Jamendo
yeah,
or on Free Music Archive these days, you get PowerPoint libraries. You
yeah,
know, I mean, that's what it's turned into because that's where the people who are creating CC music are, or people who are creating royalty free music are, because that's what people are looking for. People aren't looking for bands in that anymore, and that's the difficulty. That's the thing I would say. Create something that's more the thing you're talking about. Make one for bands.
yeah.
Take one of those fair camp
Well,
sites and host it. Do your own. It's
right.
self-hosted.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like I would like for people in bands to be, to tell us what they want. But, it's like, Jason and Will, it's like podcasters are the only people showing up. So,
Mhm.
it's like we don't necessarily know what the musicians want. So,
Right, but that's because you have to build it first, and then everybody will have an opinion about it because it will be, oh, is this cool or not? Oh, should I be promoting this? Now you got to remember, and this is the problem that most people that are building things like this have, is that musicians are typically being taken advantage of because people need their content.
ooh, Tom, I think you just froze up.
That sort of thing. I mean, so you got to, I mean, that's the thing is musicians are also promoting themselves, recording music, being creative. They've
Yeah.
already got stuff that they're doing every day of the week, and you're going, they're not showing up. And it's like, well, yeah, because they don't know if you're serious or not yet. They don't know. You have not, much like that page that you were saying you can't contact net labels for, you're going, the musicians aren't showing up to tell us what we should build. And it's like, well, you don't have anything to show them. They don't know if you even have the chops to do it yet. So it's the same concept that you were saying before about not being able to reach out to net labels because you don't have a place for them
No.
to sign up or anything to show
Yeah.
them.
It's not to sign up. Okay, again, I think we've
I'm
missed
just
this
saying, you were
point
saying you
there.
couldn't reach out to net labels because you didn't have a place to send them. And you're asking musicians to show
No,
up to
it's
go,
not
what
it's
should we
not a place
build?
to send the net labels. It's a place to send the release for Net Label Day. I don't need to
Okay.
send the net labels anywhere to talk to them.
All right. Well, that wasn't
But
clear before.
but in
But
order
my
for
point still being
the
is you
Net
were
Label Day to
saying,
have a release, there's got to be a place for those files to live. And I don't know where that place is.
right. But I'm saying you're thinking about that more than you're saying musicians aren't showing up and you're asking them just to show up to go, hey, what should we do? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I'm saying. Why should the musicians show up is what I'm saying.
I mean,
What incentive do they have?
if they don't give a shit about CC music, then they shouldn't.
Why do they think you give a shit about CC music?
Because I've been doing this for 15 years.
How do they know that?
I mean,
I'm asking the hard questions here because you're asking musicians to come up and just trust you. And musicians get contacted constantly by people going, hey, we're trying to do a thing. You should sign up to be a part of it, or you should come
no.
join me to talk about it. I got contacted today by somebody saying you should add me to your Facebook network because I will sell your album to thousands of people. I mean, we get contacted like that all the
Yeah,
time. You got to get through that noise.
Yeah,
You got to prove to them you have something.
but we don't have anything.
And that's what I'm saying. Why don't you have
Yeah,
anything
I
yet? If you
think
want
I
to
think
build
you're
it, you got to
convincing
build
me
it.
that this is all stupid. So I
I'm not
think
I'm not
I
saying
think
it's
this
stupid. I'm
might be the
saying the
last one of these that
opportunities
I
are
record.
there. I, that wasn't my point. My point was like,
I
I
think I
mean,
might be done with this.
okay, I didn't mean to upset you, Doug. I don't. I'm saying like what can be done. I mean,
I don't
you're
think
asking
anything
what do the
can.
musicians want, and I'm telling you.
I mean,
I mean, I don't understand why this is just a question. I mean, I am a musician sitting here right now,
yeah.
and I'm like going, "What do you need from us?" And
What
you
I
said, "I need you to give a shit," and it's like I do give a shit, and that's why I'm asking, what is in it? What is it for? What is the plan?
we okay. So I spent an entire day and months planning this constitutional convention, and nobody shows up. We
Hmm.
we need to figure out how we're going to file with the IRS. We gotta, which means like, are we going to be a trade organization? Are we going to be a 501c3? Are we just going to be? I mean, we don't have to be a nonprofit, but I can't get anybody to like express an opinion.
But what would it be a nonprofit for, or the other things that you spoke of? Like,
Well,
what are you building?
so a trade organization is an organization that is for the development of the industry. So in this case, the industry would be CC Music. So, you know, like like something like the CNCF. We already talked about KubeCon. Like they're a trade organization. That's what they
Hmm.
do. They do things for the betterment of cloud native computing. And we could
Hmm.
do that, but nobody seems to want to talk about like the real stuff. Like
What
I'm not gonna spend thousands of dollars on IRS filings and just to like hope that people show up. That's ridiculous.
So, what would you need the cloud computing for?
I'm saying that's one example of a trade organization. So when you're a trade organization, what you can do is people can file, like so basically you don't have to pay taxes on things that are associated with the trade organization. So if you wanted to be just a business, then you just file your taxes like any other organization.
But and I get that, and I understand. Then you're talking about should it be a nonprofit, should it be the other, and all that. But I guess I'm asking, what is the business?
So I think the easiest thing to do is be a 501c3. But again, I can't get anybody to talk about if they want to do that or not. So there's certain limitations if you want to be a 501c3. Like you can't be involved with political stuff if you're a 501c3.
Right.
So like, you can't sell well, so this is kind of complicated, but like you can't distribute funds is one thing that you can't do. So one of the things about that music. So this is I think one of the reasons why that Creative Commons got out of the music game, and why we're even having this conversation at all, is because a lot of the conversation around about Creative Commons music and music scene in general is how do we fund musicians? Okay, that's a hard topic for a 501c3 to talk about. Um, because it's about making money, and 501c3s aren't really supposed to be in that game. They're
But
charitable
I'm
organizations.
so let me jump ahead here in just the sense like let's pretend hypothetically you went forward. We are no longer talking about what you're filing for. You've got it. You've made it. You've got people to join. What do you do? What are you doing? What are you
Yeah.
doing after that?
So, anything that so this is I don't think you can put this on a legal document, but my pitch has
Right.
always
That's why I
been
said this is a hypothetical.
everything. So my pitch has always been everything that Creative Commons should be doing, and they just like abandoned us like a decade ago. That's what we want to do.
So you're saying you want this company to be a new Creative Commons music licensing platform.
Well, we don't need to do the licensing because Creative Commons all that. But you know how Eric Stoyer used to like be involved, and like they would do music events, and like um they would actually promote like Creative Commons music stuff, and they were like talking to the different providers like SoundCloud and stuff. Like they stopped doing that,
Hmm.
and like somebody needs to be doing that stuff. And right now nobody is. Now, Free Music Archive did that kind of stuff for a while. But that's a discussion that probably doesn't need to
So
be rehashed here.
this would be you're going to be an advocate contacting people to go, you should make your music Creative Commons
Well,
or add the option for
well,
Creative Commons music on your websites.
I mean, there's that, but also, all the stuff that Cheyenne did, I think that that was sort of like the peak FMA is when Cheyenne was doing it. I mean, they really had like a grip on what they wanted to be, and who they were. Like when Jason was doing it, Jason was great, but like they were still sort of figuring it out. So like we lost a lot as a community, when the FMA, got sold to Kick Split. So I think there's sort of two goals. One, bring back that community sense that the FMA had, but also do all that other sort of like behind the scenes, like going to Congress and like like all that kind of stuff that Creative Commons used to do as well for music. So those are the two things that I think. I mean,
So
they're separate, but like we need
those
them
were
both.
also those were also music hosting websites. And I asked before about, like, creating a library or a catalog. Like, is that something you would say creating it? FMA was a music hosting website. They
Yeah.
also
Well,
advocated for Creative Commons
yeah.
music on their website.
I mean, see, this is one of those things where like I wish that we could get Jamindo to the table to talk about these things, because I don't think we need one more website. Now, a lot of people want to like take on Spotify. I don't. I don't. I don't. I mean, we don't have any funds. How are we going to take on Spotify? Like, I get it's good to have a dream. I don't really see the vision for
Yeah.
that.
Well, no, and this is what I'm trying to solidify. And also, we went from, I mean, I get that there's a particular business uh, category you want to file in. That part is very, very solid in your argument. And then I said, let's say you have that now. You actually chose the filing, you have all the people. And I said, what would it be? And
Yeah.
then it was kind of licensing, and you're like, but not really that. And then I said, is it a
No, no,
music
no,
hosting? You're like, well, you don't need another
not
website.
licensing at all. Like, sorry if I was vague
Or
about that.
advocating,
Yeah,
advocating. But
yeah,
in the sense, okay, so me as a musician, you said musicians didn't
yeah,
show up and they didn't tell you what they wanted. Now I have more of an idea of what you're thinking. There are a couple of ideas here, which that's fine, because you're still planning it out. Now, if you were doing the advocating part, I'd tell you what I'd want. I'd want, when people claim my music because it's under a CC license on YouTube, to be able to contact them. It takes me months at a time just to find the distributor that actually is claiming it,
yeah,
contact them, go, why are you claiming this? And then only to find out 3 months later, it's because the song name is the same as a K-pop band that they happen to represent. So they
yeah,
claimed it, and then they listened to it. Like, that's what I want. If you're going to
yes,
do that, that's what I
yeah.
want.
So I mean, like, you could do legal services for musicians under a 501(c)(3). You could probably do that under a trade organization
Yeah.
too. But
That
um,
would, every musician I've talked to, when I've talked about why they don't use Creative Commons music anymore, that is the argument. So if you want to know what to shoot for, do that. Nobody
yeah,
else is doing it.
I think
That's what
we're
I'm
like
saying.
a
So look
decade.
into
I
that.
mean, it's hard to say. Like, yeah, I mean, you need an army of lawyers to do that. So I think financially, we're probably like a decade away from that. But
But you could at
um,
least start out with a history log of how this person was contacted, what people are making these claims. I mean, there's news that pops up all the time that there's, like, somebody's doing a blanket like takedown notice of music that isn't owned by them, or is takedown notices of music that they actually uploaded that says it's not theirs. And just starting with even documentation. I mean, I know you love documentation, Doug. You do
yeah,
love
that's
that.
one thing we've talked a lot
Even just
about on the
starting out with a
website.
knowledge base. You don't have to have a team of lawyers, but have a knowledge base to go, here's some things you could cite, some people you could talk to, some people you could reach out to. Like, what would you do if somebody contacted you about this? What would reach out to musicians and go, has this ever happened to you? And even just that there starts with a working up to it, and just kind of a, here's a game plan of like things that benefits Creative Commons musicians, even though this happens. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
brainstorming here. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think, it's interesting because I suspect there's probably already some folks doing that, and people may just not even like. I mean, they wouldn't be Creative Commons
Even
specific, but
connecting
there's
that.
like lawyers for the arts that would probably be able to help with some of that stuff.
Probably.
Um, yeah,
I mean, I like that idea. To tell you the truth, saying that out loud, I would love to be able to go, oh. Like if I search for like somebody's taking my music, you get a bunch of Reddit posts that go, yeah, you may as well just let them do it. Is usually the answer that you get.
Yeah. I guess the thing is, so YouTube for sure, but like
Hmm.
what other sites, if any, are things being claimed on?
I think YouTube is the biggest one. I know that there's still like, I mean, you're looking at, it's tough when you go into things like Twitch or SoundCloud, which, I mean, believe it or not, SoundCloud is still there and still active,
For
but
sure.
that's usually because of sampling. Like that's a tough one, or like people using background music. So Twitch and SoundCloud are tough to determine. But I mean, there's even like the stuff that's going through Internet Archive right now, how they're like they're just basically blanket
Yeah.
getting rid of books. And it's just like, well, no, I mean, not all of the books there are ones that shouldn't be, or whatever. There's it's tough to say. This is all just off the top of my head, but all I
Yeah,
can think of
no.
from experience is YouTube for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's at least a step in the right direction. I mean, I understand the other things and still being able to create events around it, raise awareness.
Yeah.
And also when you connect with these musicians, you can ask them what kind of problems they do have, or if they have gone through such a situation. Most musicians do have a story about like how their music was being told they can't use it. So I don't know.
It's interesting that we're talking about the legal stuff because,
I know you love the legal stuff, Doug, and that's why I bring it up. I know that's
well,
really what you like.
yeah, but
And nobody else really wants to dive into that. Everybody likes the concept of Creative Commons music, but we all have a general understanding. I know you actually study it. You know what I mean? I know that you actually pay attention to it. You actually read through it and learn more about it and kind of dive deep into it. And the rest of us just kind of we look at the headlines, you know?
yeah, I'll have to. It's interesting because I don't the JJ. Yeah, I mean, we were talking again about the JJJ and where I started off doing like a history of copyright thing, and
Yeah, I remember that.
it's
I saw one of those.
yeah, it's I don't know who else I'd ask besides Jessica, but I could probably find some people to
Oh,
talk
I'm sure
about
you
some
could.
things. Yeah, but then getting yeah,
Well, I hope I hope I gave you some insight.
yeah. No, I think
I know we
so.
got heated, and
I
for a
mean,
brief second, it felt like I
the
pooped in
problem
your
is,
salad. But
yeah, the problem is like we don't have the people to pull that off right now. So
well, that's why I'm saying start out with documentation and just
yeah,
even like blogging about it. It doesn't have to be a full-on, ready-to-go thing.
yeah,
Like do the history, become the spokesperson for such a thing, become an advocate for such a thing. You don't have to have the backing just to talk about it. I mean, journalists do that all the time. They just write an article about it and then they write more. They just look into it. Investigative.
yeah, yeah. The other thing is that's been frustrating is and this will be even this will be a frustrating aspect of what you're talking about
All right.
is the um like the different jurisdictions.
Yeah. And again, something you would know about, not me,
Yeah,
proving my point.
but this is one of the this is so I guess this is one of the things that I've been trying to solve for a long time, and it's one of
Hmm.
those things that maybe we just can't solve it, but like if you look at like who's submitting stuff to, I'm sure it's on other platforms too, but Bandcamp I know fairly well. It's like Europe and North America, and then like a smattering of things. Well, Japan, but it's
Hmm.
like you know India and China and large swaths of the planet are just like completely ignored. And actually, like Indonesia has like a really vibrant scene, but like I just feel really disconnected from them. Like I don't like I mean, and some of that's time zone and some of that's language barrier. So we're back to the maybe we just can't solve that. But like I'd like to be in a place where like the people in Indonesia feel like they're part of the same scene that we are in the US. That's what I'd like to get to.
Hmm.
I honestly don't know if we ever had that, but I kind of think maybe we did with the FMA. Like I mean, I
Hmm.
think Yes No Wave was on the FMA. I mean, that's one of the top Indonesian labels. I mean, we were talking to like Stone Age Records and
Right. No,
Riskin
the
over
second you
there.
said that, that's the first one I thought about. I remember talking to them.
Yeah, so but you know, and again, we lost so much with
Of course,
the
that was like
FMAs.
15 years ago too when we spoke
Right.
to them.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's the thing is like, you know, we had this slow demise where like Creative Commons sort of like did that Homer Simpson thing where they, you know, like they didn't announce like, hey, go fuck off CC Music people. I mean, it would have been nice if they'd just done that because then we would have known, you know, like,
Yeah.
but instead, you know, they Homer Simpson back into the shrub and we're
Mm.
all like, okay, whatever. And then, you know, the FMA, of course, that was very public, the sale and all of that. And but um, you know, and then, you know, 2 years after that, everybody's, you know, isolated from COVID. And I mean, I don't know where we would be. Like maybe we would, I don't want to say solved. I mean, this is one of those things that's like, you know, like you always have to work at community. That's not like a
Mhm.
solved thing, you know, like that's a like you gotta always build the community. Um but I just don't know, like I feel like we would probably be in a better place without that.
Yeah.
So we've had these like three like kind of traumatic events in the community and like yeah, I don't know, like
Well, I and I mean, I would say from all this, I mean, I like the at least diving in or even just like writing about or documenting the whole concept scenario the way, I mean, even just what you're saying, like write about it used to be this way and now here are
yeah,
the problems today, like base it on the knowledge that you had and
right.
also the experiences people have to go through there. I think that's useful as a musician.
Yeah.
I think it's
Hmm.
useful. Have something that actually shows up in a damn search
Well, yeah,
that you
I
can
don't
look
know
for
if
stuff.
that's, you know, because you know, we've had the website up for like a year, and I don't know if any of the stuff that we've written shows up in searches,
Yeah, I don't know.
but yeah, probably like need to have some sort of like series,
Yeah, go
to
for it,
like,
man.
you know, like if we could do like 10, I don't know, like what do you think's a good number? Like maybe like a 10-part series or something like that on the,
Well, it depends. Here's what you do: write out headline topics that you'd like to cover, like overall topics.
yeah,
Maybe even start out with five. If you have to do more,
yeah.
great. And then in between those, write three major points that you need to describe them, and then just go from there. I mean, just start out with, I mean, broad headline topics to start with, and start with five and see how many you can cover in that. And then in between, take 3 to 5 topics in between them to describe. I don't know, something like that, just to start out, just to give you an
Yeah.
outline, not even
Well,
something to pay attention to. Just go topic this,
yeah.
topic that. Don't write the whole thing out. Don't even get into that part yet. It's the what all do you want to five, they call it the 5,000 foot view,
Sure. Yeah,
look
yeah,
at
yeah.
it from way
Well,
way high.
I was just thinking like as far as like from the SEO perspective, but
Oh, from
um
SEO.
yeah, like
SEO, I wouldn't even worry about that yet. SEO changes so much anyway, and you're
fair
just going to
enough.
get some sort of piece of crappy AI generated thing at the top. So don't worry about it. If it's good enough, your AI will use it. They at least they put the citation in those descriptions,
Yeah.
so when you see it and you're like, that doesn't make sense, it has a little link so you can see where they stole the info from. So
Hmm.
that's what I would worry about right now. I would worry more about just writing it and then see which ones get the most views or which one
Yeah.
gets the most questions and then focus on that. Don't try to solve it all at once. Start out and see what gets the most response or at least what gets viewed the most. That'd be my suggestion.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
All right. So,
that there is something there that I can
okay,
do. Yeah.
good. I talked you out of I mean, you went dark real quick. I had to talk you out of that, my
Well,
man.
I like you know
I
what?
get what you're doing. I just wanted more
Yeah.
clearness on what the outcome was.
Yeah. I mean, I just I don't know if we're gonna get
Clearness,
there.
clarity is what I meant
I
to say.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I just don't know if we're gonna get there. I don't know. I
I think this is something that's more attainable to focus on. I still think
Yeah.
you should do the events. I like the
Yeah.
events, and that's why I was asking, like, are you looking to expand on these events? And just doing the events in general,
Yeah.
kick ass, and I do enjoy them.
I
But
wanted to
if
talk
you
to you
want to do,
about going down to Jackson, which I read a little bit about that the misadventures.
yes, yeah,
So
I've been doing a web comic about it, and
yeah,
it was fine. No, the Jackson trip in general was great, but I had a whole plan set out, and then
yeah,
halfway through, all I cared about was surviving to get home. So it
yeah,
ruined it, kind of my car breaking down.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot to unpack with the whole events thing. So maybe that's another thing that I can talk about too. That that was that was sort of like where we were spending a lot of our time originally, and we just realized that like financially we weren't going to be able to pull it off. So that's why I didn't end up saying a whole lot of that, because we gotta build something else before we get back to the like in-person events and stuff. I think in person's really important for like building community.
Mhm.
Back to that, but yeah, we gotta get to where we can do that first. So um, yeah.
All right, man.
Well, yeah, this did not go in the direction that I was thinking it was going to go, but that's fine. That's
Well, I hope that I helped
no, yeah,
give
no,
you some
that's
ideas.
yeah, no, I think the legal stuff. I think people probably just don't talk about it because it's not something that they know a lot about. But you know me well enough to know that like there's probably some juice in that squeeze there. So
Exactly, and
um,
we need someone to do it for us because
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And you're the one person I know who would.
all
And you
right,
were talking about the Eric Stoyer thing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, yeah,
All
we
right.
don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
were bringing that up. So, and not saying like you're gonna but work up to it. I know you've gone to school for this and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff like that. So,
All right. Well, so I mentioned this to you before that um I think every May you like a pun, right?
okay, all right,
Right? Don't you? You do?
I do, I
Okay.
do.
I like a pun. So
I'm
the
known for them.
the music Maynumit. I haven't quite I've like said that a bunch of different ways. I'm not sure how it should be said. Should be
Right.
Maynumit. I don't know. Like
Yeah, I know. I was looking when you sent that in the email. I was trying to think of how to say it too. You're
yeah.
right. I wasn't quite sure how to say it. And also, just for anybody who, one, is still listening to this at this point, and two is the show we're talking about, the pun we're talking about, is a podcast we
Yeah.
did like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. So,
And it was called Music Man You
but
Met.
right.
So, and the funny thing is this conversation here is the conversation that normally wouldn't be on the show. It would be you and me after the show continuing to talk.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
got to experience real behind the scenes
Yeah.
of what it used to be like.
Yeah. So this is the forever pilot.
Yeah.
If there's ever like something that's like obviously like, well, that's what people want, then I'll go that direction. So
Oh, for sure.
if you like the Doug has a therapy session, then I guess that could be I could just bring people on to like, ask me uncomfortable questions, and then
I
yeah,
didn't
that
even
could just
realize
be
I
the
was going
show.
that direction. I
So
just saw
yeah,
it happen.
yeah. So well, like right
I
now
got you.
the shows are intentionally like not very they're very different month to month. So
Yeah.
that could be changed if but people seem to they thought that was interesting. But
All
all
right.
right. Well, Tom, I know you got to go. So
Yeah, I got to get going.
yeah. Thank you so much. And I'll let you know when I actually get the audio out for this, but the video I'll send that to you too. So
All right, man.
cool.
All right. See you later,
Have a
man.
good one.
Bye.
Peace.